I know a creative financing option that does not require help from a bank. Have you ever heard of seller financing? No? No worries, I got you.
Ooh, I thought it'd be me and you. I guess it wasn't true.
Hello viewers, my name is Eric Pinkney, owner of Pinkney Estates. If this is our first time meeting, please consider subscribing to my channel for weekly real estate investing content. What is seller financing? Seller financing is an agreement between a buyer and a seller in which the seller acts like the bank instead of a financial institution. Now, the property is used for collateral and the buyer will take ownership at the closing table. The buyer makes monthly mortgage payments to the seller, and if the buyer breaches that agreement, then the seller can foreclose on the property, just like a bank. The agreement can have a short-term mortgage, typically up to 5 years, or it can act like a bank and have a term up to 30 years. The beauty of seller financing is that everything is negotiable. The note should be handled by a real estate attorney, never between a buyer and seller. Here are the benefits for both parties. The seller. The ownership will be transferred at the closing table, meaning that you have zero liability for that property. The buyer is responsible for taxes, insurance, and repairs. By becoming the bank, the mortgage interest rate is in your favor. You can charge a higher percentage than the mortgage market rate. Now, if the buyer could qualify for market rate or better, then they would use the traditional way of financing. You can charge market rent for the property in the mid to high range and collect that additional interest every single month. Now, the house is used for collateral, so if the buyer defaults, then you can foreclose on that property, get that person out of there, and then start the creative financing process all over again. Seller financing works best when a property is owned free and clear of any liens and mortgages. Now, you want to stay away from being in second, third, or even fourth lien position on that property. Now, there is another option. If you do have a mortgage on that property and you want to do creative financing, I'm not a huge fan of this, but talk to your lender about wrap loans and subject tos. The buyer. Seller financing can help you if all of your money is tied up in another project and you don't have all of the cash to jump on this real estate opportunity. But you do have enough cash for a decent down payment. Now, after negotiations, at closing, you will have another property in your possession. Or let's say that you have a credit score that is lower than what the bank requires. Now, you can use the same method to obtain the property. Now, after closing, you do want to work on your credit score so that you can refinance for better rates. Everyone is happy. The seller gets to collect a monthly mortgage payment with additional interest, and he or she gets to collect the remaining balance of that agreed upon price between the buyer and seller at the end of that term or when the buyer refinances. The buyer will get a better rate after refinancing, but more importantly, the buyer was able to obtain a property using this unconventional method. Story time. In 2019, I purchased a duplex in Lewisburg, North Carolina. Now, this duplex has been on the market for over 1 year and was listed at $90,000. Now, I offered the seller financing option after negotiations and a down payment of only $3,500. My purchase price for the duplex was $72,500. One side was move-in ready. The exterior, it needed a facelift and a new roof and a little bit of landscaping work, but nothing too big on the exterior. Now, on the other side, it was horrible and it needed a lot of attention. Here is the duplex in Lewisburg, North Carolina. As you can see, it was not appealing. There's your boy and the demo gear ready to roll. There goes my handsome father, aka Pop Dukes. He always has my back when I need help with anything, especially flooring, like carpet, tile. He also does backsplash. He can do a little bit of cabinet work. Like, the man does everything. Love you, Pop. And yes, we had to haul away some old appliances, some old flooring, the pad underneath the carpet, some old wood. We had to haul away a lot of junk. And as you can see in this picture, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but they punched a hole in the wall, and these are the previous tenants. Punched a hole in the wall and drew a bunch of dicks on the wall. Like, who does that? Like, look. I don't know if you could see that, but you see that? Who does this? Now, renovations only took about a month, but as you can see, she's all nice and pretty now. I got a new roof on there. I like windows with the white trim and the black shutters. So if you see a Pinkney Estates property, like, you're gonna see this color scheme. And the red doors. As you can see in this picture, I have installed new water heaters on both sides, and I also redid the electrical on both sides. Each side was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit. So it was very important for me to do the bathrooms right. So as you can see in this picture, I redid the vanity, put in new light fixtures, and in the next picture, we redid the tub shower combination, new toilet, new floors, the works. Here is the family room. As you can see, we replaced the windows at the front and we replaced the carpet. And now this area looks very bright and welcoming. After the $30,000 renovation, my next step was to hire a property manager. I wanted to get tenants on each side as soon as possible. My property manager, Jennifer with Townside Properties, thank you. She quickly found 2 tenants that was paying $750 on each side. Now, that's a total of $1,500 a month. Now, my original plan was to keep this property using the BRRRR strategy. Now, you do remember my BRRRR video, don't you? If not, the link for the video is in the description below. Now, so that was my plan, to hold on to the property, but an out-of-state cash buyer gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse. I sold the property for $160,000. Now, here is why I sold the duplex and why the buyer was happy to buy the duplex. Pinkney Estates purchased the duplex for $72,500. Now, luckily, I stuck to my rehab budget of $30,000. Now, most of the time, sellers are responsible for the realtor's commissions. So I had to pay 5% of the sales price. Now, 5% of $160 is $8,000. Now, I am also responsible for my part of the closing costs. For the remainder of the year, the taxes and insurance, the attorney fee, stuff like that. Now, the closing cost came out to be $2,500. Now, I'm all in at $113, okay? And the sales price was $160. Now, subtract $113 from $160, I walked away with $47,000. Now, sometimes when you're trying to do the BRRRR method, you're gonna have a cash buyer come out of nowhere and just slap you in the face with a huge amount of money. And it's hard to say no. Now, for the buyer, their purchase price was $160,000, and it's already generating income of $1,500 a month. Now, if you remember the 1% rule, he's right where he needs to be. Now, his target is 1%, meaning that the monthly income should be about 1% of his purchase price. Now, I'm generating $1,500 a month already. Everything's set up for him. And the purchase price is $160. So $1,500 divided by 160 is 0.93%. And for him, that's close enough to the 1% he's looking for. Everybody's happy. I get $47,000. He gets pretty much a business or franchise already set up for him. Got 2 tenants paying $1,500 a month, and he's within that 1% rule. I mean, we all win. It's time for the toasty tip of the day. Toasty! Sellers, if you are doing seller financing, aim for a 10% interest rate. Now, being the smart investor that you are, any investment you make, you want the same return as a stock market. And right now, the average rate of return in the stock market is 10%. Now, don't be shady by charging a ridiculous interest rate and asking for an unreasonable down payment, knowing that the buyer will default. Come on, we're not scumbags.
Come on, son. The out of here with that bullshit.
That concludes this week's video. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, like this video, and share with your mom and them. See you next time.